Okay, so get ready because today we're diving deep into Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones.
You know
Yeah.
that super secretive society at Yale? We're talking presidents.
Presidents.
Soul and skulls.
Soul and skulls.
Wild theories. The works.
Yeah.
Got a whole stack of research ready to go.
All right.
So let's see if we can unlock some of those secrets together.
Let's do it.
Shall we?
I think what I find fascinating about Skull and Bones is how they've held on to this mystique for almost 2 centuries.
Right.
It makes you wonder, is it a harmless social club?
Right.
Or a powerful network shaping world events?
Ooh.
And I think that's really the question that we'll be kind of exploring today.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so our sources paint a pretty vivid picture of how this all began.
Okay.
So imagine Yale in the 1830s.
Okay.
Debating societies, our huge rivalries are intense.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 students,
Yeah.
William Huntington Russell and Alphonso Taft,
Mm-hmm.
decide they want something more.
More exclusive.
More
More secretive.
exclusive.
They envisioned a society focused on cultivating a certain kind of leadership.
Okay.
And that's how, in 1832, the Order of Skull and Bones was born.
Hold on, Alphonso Taft. That name rings a bell.
Right. He's the father of William Howard Taft, who would later become both a bonesman himself
Oh, wow.
and the 27th President of the United States.
Wow. Yeah.
So you can really see that legacy and lineage are woven into the fabric of Skull and Bones from the very beginning.
Wow. Talk about a family tradition.
Yeah.
It's almost like passing down a torch.
Right.
Or maybe a skull.
Or a skull.
in
Yeah,
this case.
Exactly.
But speaking of skulls,
Yeah.
what about that mysterious number that seems to be everywhere in Skull and Bones lore? 322.
322.
Let's deal with that.
Ah, yes, the infamous 322.
Yeah.
It's fueled endless speculation.
Right.
The most popular theory connects it to the death year of the Greek orator Demosthenes,
Okay.
322 BC.
Please, yeah.
He was known for challenging those in power.
Interesting.
So some see it as a symbol of rebellion or a commitment to fighting for what they believe in.
Interesting. But one of our sources,
Okay.
a letter between early members, suggests a different interpretation.
Okay.
Apparently, they measure their dates from 322 BC,
322.
the year Athenian democracy was suppressed.
Hmm.
That adds a whole other layer, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you wonder, are they celebrating power or mourning its loss?
Right.
Are they upholding democratic ideals or subverting them?
Wow.
It's a question that really goes straight to the heart of what Skull and Bones represents.
Okay, now that is a seriously intriguing twist.
Yeah.
It's like they're playing with this duality,
Mm-hmm.
this tension between power and its potential consequences.
Uh-huh.
But we can't forget about their iconic headquarters, the Tomb.
The tomb.
Our sources describe this place as a blend of architectural styles,
Okay.
with its Egyptian Doric wing
Wow.
and those added neo-Gothic towers.
It's a pretty striking building. Definitely designed to evoke a sense of mystery and grandeur.
Right.
And remember, this was a time when secret societies were all the rage, particularly on college campuses.
Okay.
They provided a sense of belonging, of shared rituals and values in a world that was rapidly changing.
So in a way, they were creating their own world, their own space,
Exactly.
hidden away from the prying eyes of the outside.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, there's a side to this secret society thing that's a bit, well, creepy.
Yeah.
I'm looking at our notes here about crooking,
Crooking.
stealing artifacts, sometimes even human remains.
Yeah, crooking is a big part of the Skull and Bones legend,
Right.
even though it's never been officially acknowledged.
Wow.
The rumors are pretty wild. Some say they have the skulls of Martin Van Buren Geronimo, even Pancho Villa.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Actual human skulls?
Yeah.
What's the fascination with that?
Well, it definitely adds to the mystique, right?
Right.
I mean, it fuels those conspiracy theories and gives the whole thing a darker, more sinister edge.
Right.
But it's important to remember a lot of this is based on rumors and accusations.
Right, but there was that incident in 2010
Yeah.
when Christie's had to cancel an auction of a skull supposedly linked to Skull and Bones.
True.
Yeah.
That certainly adds fuel to the fire. It makes you wonder what else might be hidden within those walls.
Okay, so we've got secret rituals, a mysterious headquarters, and possibly stolen skulls.
Uh-huh.
But where do these bonesmen actually go
Yeah.
to, bond and do whatever it is they do?
Yeah.
Our sources mention a private island retreat on the St. Lawrence River called Deer Island.
Deer Island.
Deer Island.
Deer Island plays a crucial role in solidifying the bonds between bonesmen.
Okay.
Think about it. You've got future presidents, CEOs,
Right.
maybe even a Supreme Court justice or two,
Wow.
all hanging out together on this private island.
Yeah.
It creates a level of connection and camaraderie that can last a lifetime.
And probably leads to some pretty powerful networks down the line, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These retreats aren't just about having fun.
Right.
They're about building relationships,
Okay.
forging alliances, and shaping the future.
You know, it's all starting to feel a bit like a conspiracy thriller.
A little bit.
And speaking of conspiracies,
Yeah.
we can't ignore all the theories surrounding Skull and Bones.
Mm-hmm.
They've been accused of everything from manipulating global events to being a front for the Illuminati.
It's important to separate fact from fiction.
Right.
Without concrete evidence, those theories remain just that.
Right.
Theories.
Yeah.
But it's also worth acknowledging that the concentration of power and influence within a group like this can have real-world consequences.
Right.
And that's worth examining.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, it's fascinating how this group, shrouded in so much secrecy, has both reflected and to some extent resisted the changing tides of American society.
Right.
You know, for a long time, membership was pretty much limited to white Protestant men, embodying those kind of societal norms of the time.
So a classic good old boys network, paving the way for the elite.
Yeah, exactly.
But that couldn't have lasted forever, right?
Exactly. As society evolves, even the most exclusive institutions have to adapt.
Right.
And according to our sources, the first black member was admitted in 1965, followed by the first gay member in 1975.
It's interesting to see how those broader social movements for civil rights and LGBTQ plus inclusion were making their mark, even within these secretive circles.
Yeah,
It makes you wonder how much resistance there must have been to those changes.
absolutely. And that resistance really came to a head in the 1990s
Okay.
with the debate over admitting women.
Oh, yeah?
It was a huge controversy, even making headlines in major publications.
I remember reading about that some alumni were fiercely opposed,
Right.
even threatening legal action to prevent women from joining.
Yeah.
It really highlights the tension between tradition and progress, doesn't it?
Yeah. It does the old guard clinging to the exclusivity of the past versus those pushing for a more inclusive and representative society.
Right.
It's a microcosm of the larger societal shifts happening at the time.
So what happened? Did they actually end up admitting women?
They did, but not without a fight.
Okay.
In 1992, after years of debate and internal conflict, a majority vote allowed women to join.
Wow.
It was a turning point for Skull and Bones,
Okay.
but it wasn't a smooth transition.
I bet. So they've gone from an all-white, all-male bastion of privilege to a slightly more diverse group.
Right.
But how much has really changed? I mean, is it just a cosmetic shift, or have the values and dynamics of the society truly evolved?
That's the key question.
Right.
It's one thing to open the doors.
Yeah.
But it's another to dismantle the systems and structures that have historically kept certain groups marginalized.
Right. It's about more than just ticking boxes.
Exactly.
It's about fostering a truly inclusive environment where everyone feels valued and empowered.
Exactly. And that takes time, effort, and a genuine commitment to change.
Speaking of powerful figures, we can't overlook the sheer number of influential people who've come out of Skull and Bones.
Right.
Presidents, Supreme Court justices, CEOs, media moguls.
The list goes on.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, is it the society that makes these people powerful?
Uh-huh.
Or do powerful people naturally gravitate towards this kind of exclusive group?
It's a chicken and egg scenario, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does Skull and Bones cultivate power, or does it simply attract those who are already on a trajectory towards influence?
Right.
It's likely a bit of both.
I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
On the one hand, they have access to these incredible networks, mentors, resources,
Right.
things that can definitely open doors.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, they might already possess the ambition, drive, and maybe even a certain personality type
Yeah.
that makes them more likely to succeed.
And that's what makes this whole discussion so fascinating. We're
What?
trying to unravel the complexities of power influence and how they intertwine with institutions like Skull and Bones.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces are constantly shifting,
Yeah,
but that's what keeps us coming back for more, right?
absolutely. The more we learn, the more questions we have.
Right.
And that's the beauty of this whole process.
We've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the history, the symbols, the membership, the controversies, even touched on those tantalizing conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, after all this digging, do you think we're any closer to understanding what really goes on behind those closed doors?
Honestly, I think we've only just scratched the surface.
What do you think, listener?
Yeah.
What's your take on all of this?
Yeah.
Is Skull and Bones a harmless social club?
Mm-hmm.
A networking opportunity for the ambitious?
Right.
Or something more sinister?
It's a question that continues to fascinate and intrigue us, and maybe that's exactly how they like it.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in thinking about Skull and Bones as this monolithic entity,
Right.
this shadowy group pulling strings behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But we have to remember, it's made up of individuals, each with their own motivations and ambitions.
That's a crucial point. You know, we can get so focused on the symbols, the rituals,
Right.
the grand narratives, that we forget about the human element.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Skull and Bones is a collection of people making choices,
Yes.
forming alliances,
Mm.
yeah, sometimes wielding their influence in ways that shape the world.
So how do we reconcile those individual choices with the larger legacy of the society?
Right.
I mean, we've talked about the power dynamics, the exclusivity, the potential for those connections to influence events on a global scale.
Right.
Does that responsibility weigh on these individuals, or is it simply the cost of belonging to such an elite group?
That's a question for the Bonesmen themselves.
Right.
You know, do they see themselves as stewards of power, obligated to use their influence for good?
Right.
Or do they view it as a means to personal gain and advancement? It's likely a spectrum, you know, with some individuals driven by a sense of duty and others more focused on personal ambition.
It makes you wonder about the culture within the society.
Yeah.
Do they encourage ethical leadership? Or is it more about achieving success, whatever the cost?
Our sources don't offer much insight into those internal discussions,
Right.
but it's a fascinating question to ponder, you know?
Yeah.
Imagine those late-night conversations in the tomb,
Hey.
debating the role of power,
Yeah.
the weight of responsibility, the implications of their actions on the world stage.
Wow. It's like a scene straight out of a movie.
Right.
Secret gatherings, whispers of influence, the fate of nations hanging in the balance.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about Skull and Bones. It blurs the line between reality and fiction, doesn't it?
It does, and that's why it continues to captivate our imagination.
Right.
You know, it's a mirror reflecting our own anxieties about power, privilege, and the forces that shape our world.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners?
Yeah.
What should they be thinking about after this deep dive into the world of Skull and Bones?
I'd say the key is to remain critical, to question assumptions, and to never take anything at face value. Whether you see Skull and Bones as a harmless social club or a shadowy cabal,
Right.
it's important to understand its history, its impact, and its enduring influence on American society.
It's a reminder that power often operates in hidden networks behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to shed light on those networks, to understand how they function, and to hold those in power accountable.
Exactly. We can't afford to be passive observers.
Right.
You know, we need to engage, to ask questions, to demand transparency.
Right.
Because the more we understand about these systems, the better equipped we are to navigate them and create a more just and equitable world.
Well said. This has been a fascinating and, at times, unsettling journey into the heart of one of America's most enduring mysteries. And while we may never have all the answers, I think we've gained a valuable perspective on the complexities of power influence and the enduring allure of secrets.
Indeed, the pursuit of knowledge is an ongoing process, and this deep dive has only fueled our curiosity.
Right.
We encourage you to continue exploring, to keep asking questions, and to never stop seeking the truth.
Until next time, keep those minds sharp and those questions coming.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a topic that's sure to spark your curiosity and get you thinking differently about the world around us.